more than a decade studying this. And what I figured out is our body is hardwired. We are hardwired with five health defense systems that we're born with. Our immune system is more powerful than we ever thought. So powerful, in fact, that if we had cancer, our immune system can wipe it out, even if the cancer is spread. I will tell you that Mother Nature has beat drug companies to the punch because there are tons of foods, more than 200 foods. I used to ask the question when I was in medical school, why do people get cancer? Why do people get dementia? Why do people become obese? Those are reasonable questions to ask, and that's how researchers ask those questions. And I'm sure many of you will be asking that same questions, like, why do we get sick? What if we can figure that answer? I want to tell you how I upended that entire concept, because I ask a different question now. I ask, why don't we get sick more often? Why don't we get sick more often? How come kids don't get sick, seriously ill more often? How come when we're young adults in our 20s, how come we don't develop, the huge burden of diseases like cancer and diabetes and heart disease more often? How come we don't develop these diseases until later in life? Well, asking that question inverts the entire thought process. If we knew why we don't get sick more often, then we can support those systems that keep us healthy. And so this is what I'm actually telling you. I've spent more than a decade studying this, and what I figured out is our body is hardwired. We are hardwired with five health defense systems that we're born with. Actually, they start forming when we're in our mom's womb. When we're born, these health defense systems are inside our body, hardwired, firing on all cylinders from day one, from the day we're born until our very last breath. And how well these systems perform really is what matters in terms of whether or not we stay healthy or we stumble and might get sick. And usually these health defense systems help us regain our health again. And so the question is, how long can we extend this? How do we support and boost these health defenses so that when we're in our vulnerable periods of our life, that we can actually minimize the risk? And what's really cool is that some of these health defense systems can even reverse diseases as well. So let me tell you what we've discovered these five health defense systems are. Angiogenesis, which is how the body grows blood vessels. We got 60,000 miles worth of blood vessels. I'm going to tell you about those. Regeneration, our stem cells is inside our bone marrow and in circulating our blood. That's another health defense system. Our microbiome, many of you will have heard about gut health. Our DNA, most people think of our DNA as our genetic code, and it is our genetic code, but that's kind of a concept that we figured out, almost 50 years ago now. So what are we thinking about our DNA now? What's the state-of-the-art thinking? Our DNA protects us from the environment. And then our immunity. Our immune system is more powerful than we ever thought. So powerful, in fact, that if we had cancer, our immune system can wipe it out, even if the cancer is spread. So, this is coming from really leading edges, the edge of the envelope of science. Each of these defense systems, there is some biotech or pharmaceutical company working on them to develop some drugs. I will tell you that Mother Nature has beat drug companies to the punch because there are tons of foods, more than 200 foods that I write about in my book, Eat to Beat Disease, that actually have the proven ability through science and research to activate our health defense system. Our first health defense system is angiogenesis. Angiogenesis is how our body grows blood vessels. We have, everyone watching this now has 60,000 miles worth of blood vessels packed inside our body. So that's an amazing amount. Highways and byways that deliver oxygen and nutrients. Whatever we're eating gets delivered through our blood vessels into our cells and our organs. So how does angiogenesis work? It really feeds it gives us nutrition to be able to be healthy. However, it is also a system that helps us fight cancer. Why? Because although we got 60,000 miles, our body prevents extra blood vessels from growing when they're not necessary. And in fact, this is one of the reasons why we don't develop cancer more often, because all of us watching this are also forming microscopic cancers in our body right now. Cancer is actually like a pimple. They're always forming. We've got 40 trillion cells in our body. They're dividing. They make a couple of mistakes and bingo, you've got little microscopic cancers. But these little microscopic cancers can never grow up because they don't have a blood supply. So they get to be about the size of the tip of a ballpoint pen, and they cannot expand any further. You sit there And then our immune system wings by like patrol cars looking for bad guys, and you see this microscopic cancer and it takes them right out, and it'll never be a problem for most of us. Now, when tumors are able to hijack our blood supply, which can occur, then they recruit their own private blood supply, and now the cancers are fed. They get oxygen and nutrients, just like our healthy organs. And this is the research I've done. When blood vessels touch a tumor, a tiny microscopic cancer, it allows that cancer to grow explosively. A tumor that's not fed by blood vessels, tip of a ballpoint pen. Tumor that actually is fed, once a blood vessel touches it, will grow 16,000 times in 2 weeks. And the same blood vessels that feed the cancer allow cancer cells to escape into the circulation. We call this metastases. So, what do we need to do? We need to shore up our body's ability to prevent extra blood vessels from growing. Our health defense system is naturally hardwired to do that. How do we actually do that better? Well, it turns out there are more than 100 different foods that have been studied. I've studied almost all of them that can enhance your body's ability to cut off the blood supply that might be feeding cancer. So you keep your good, healthy circulation. You prevent the extra blood vessels from feeding cancers. What are some of these foods? Tomatoes. Tomatoes contain a bioactive natural chemical called lycopene. And clinical studies have shown that tomatoes can reduce the risk of prostate cancer. Prostate cancer requires a blood supply in order to grow, to become a problem. That men who eat 2 to 3 servings of cooked tomato sauce, 2 to 3 times a week, actually have a 30% lower risk of developing prostate cancer. Why? Because the bioactive in the tomato sauce prevents the blood tumors from recruiting those blood vessels. Now, men that do develop prostate cancers, the more tomato sauce you eat, the less aggressive the prostate cancer actually is. So this has been studied, by the way, in 30,000 men. This is like a human study, not just a theoretical study. Another anti-angiogenic, cancer-starving food, soy. Now, there's an urban legend that soy actually causes breast cancer as a risk. Completely wrong. Urban legend. Soy contains phytosterols, which does have a plant estrogen, which looks nothing like human estrogen, blocks human estrogen. It's like a Mother Nature's tamoxifen. And studies have actually shown that eating soy lowers the risk of the danger of breast cancer. In fact, it improves survival in women who actually have breast cancer. If you've got breast cancer or you're at risk for breast cancer, the more soy you eat, the lower your risk is, the better your survival. So other foods, black raspberry, cacao. I actually studied the chocolate that was used to make this, and we actually found that it kills leukemia cells and lymphoma cells. So dark chocolate also cuts off the blood supply feeding cancer. Pomegranate juice, green tea. I wanted to show you this. I'm actually rarely found without a cup of green tea around. This is whole leaf green tea, but you can use matcha, you can use iced tea, works as well as hot tea. I always tell a story in my book. I had a great uncle that lived to 104, and he lived at the base of a tea mountain, and every single day he drank like 6 cups of green tea and stayed very physically active, walking up the hills and trails as well. Green tea, by the way, has been shown to reduce the risk of colon cancer. Why? Because the polyphenols in green tea cut off the blood supply, feeding cancers. Now, one of the things that I've been studying is how much do you need to eat in order to get the benefit. I want to show you. Blueberries are anti-angiogenic. I had some this morning for breakfast. Some of my favorites. Love blueberries. The color blueberries is made by anthocyanins, a natural dye. 1 cup a week has been shown in human studies to fight breast cancer. Okay, also boost your immune system. Black raspberries. You need a little bit more if you are fighting bladder cancer. 7 cups a day of black raspberries can fight bladder cancer, but if you're trying to fight cardiovascular disease, it can also improve heart health as well. And you only need 4 individual berries a day. So again, food doses is something really cool that we're working on. Walnuts. Walnuts have been shown to help improve outcomes for colon cancer. Okay, so if you're fighting colon cancer, how do you improve your odds? How do you fight colon cancer better? Nuts contain fiber, which feature gut microbiomes, also anti-angiogenic. Turns out you need only 11 walnuts per week, 22 halves of walnuts.